1st, 2015, and this is Colin recording himself playing Mega Man Legends. Not sure exactly what this is supposed to be, if this is meant to be publicly consumed or just for my own well-being, but we'll see. Also not sure if this will be cut down or not. Actually, that would probably be a good idea. But yeah, it'll be interesting to hear this back at some point. Anyways, so I decided for the first of this pilot, which I'm tentatively calling SDX Crits, I will be playing through the PS1 1997 title Mega Man Legends, developed by Capcom. Yeah, and one of my favorite games that I'd only rediscovered recently. If I do play through this whole thing, this will probably be my 4th full playthrough. So I have a bunch of experience. I've never done a complete playthrough of this game, though. Not sure if this... I mean, I've completed the game 3 previous times, but never 100%, is what I meant. I'm not typically a 100%er, but this game especially has some things that make me kind of want to, and I can get into that later. But anyways, just sitting here and observing kind of the loop of the game's attract mode, which was a thing back when video games weren't downloaded from the internet. The style of the game is still super striking to me, and I know that's not really critical vocabulary, but I mean, the title screen immediately throws you with this kind of metallic but brown, almost decaying, green, brown, ancient technology looking wall. But then it also cycles into the kind of the backstory lore explanation thing, which is just a monologue read by a super over enthusiastic voice actor, talking about this kind of post-apocalyptic world that we're going into, that's covered in water, and the image that you're presented with while you're hearing this, it switches from the menu screen to just blue, obnoxiously blue, almost sky, with this super compressed looking JPEG water, with your character's ship flying over it. It's cute though. That's all I have to say about it. And it's not obtrusive, you can skip it. It's kind of fun to listen to every once in a while. Also, as I was setting up this recording, I was able to hear or see that there's also a cutscene introduction for one of the antagonists of the game that plays in super anime-ish. Well, I'm saying super a lot, sorry. Very, very 90s anime. I mean, all the character designs are obviously anime influenced, more so even than, or not more so than the original Mega Man, because I guess the original Mega Man kind of has a design reminiscent of the original kind of manga stuff like Astro Boy, but the character designs in this game are very, I guess 90s anime, I guess you would say. The pointy faces and the really big spiky hair, characters being defined by their hair, and less so the face. But I'm a big fan of the designs anyway. There's something about it that I could probably talk about later. I feel like I should be getting to the game soon, but it's probably a good sign that I could talk for, 5 whole minutes already on just the menu screen. I think it shows that there is one of the reasons I think this game holds up so well, and that it's still a favorite of mine, even though it's one of the earliest 3D action RPG kind of games. I mean, this came out before Ocarina of Time even. Is that, and why it was so successful, in my opinion, is just there's so much craft and love that goes into it, and just attention to detail that is a sign that I feel we had a team that was working on something they really loved and really wanted to make good. So I just noticed I just pressed the new game and it has 14-year-old Mega Man Legends protagonist, who I think is technically named Mega Man Volnut as his full name. Our young hero, younger seeming than I think any Mega Man incarnation before this, especially because Mega Man X was kind of the thing that was going on at this time, and that was kind of this more adult, gritty Mega Man, and now we're presented with blushy face, Sailor Moon looking Mega Man Volnut with his Dragon Ball Z hair. This opening cutscene kind of presents this weird contradiction of the super excited, Mega Man and Roll, who we haven't seen yet, but she's our kind of our guide, and we are hearing her talk to us as we're exploring this very blue dungeon. A lot of great wall textures in this, I think, even though they're repeated so much and they're so lo-fi, but there's a character to them and they just work really well. This game looks so good. Like any screenshot still, especially I'm playing it on a PS3, so emulated through here. It's really nice. A lot of designs that are kind of reminiscent of Ava in these like ancient dungeon looking things. Like one of the big things of this game is you're a treasure hunter is going through the remains of an ancient civilization that was apparently very advanced. There's these sentient robots that are trying to stop you from stealing these crystals that power the world. So it's kind of got this like dark mecha look to it, which is why I compare it to Evangelion. Though I guess everything at this time was kind of trying to look like that. But yeah, so the game drops you into a cutscene that is a pastiche on Indiana Jones, which is kind of curious. I think it brings in kind of this weird contradiction I was talking about that kind of plays throughout the whole game, where a lot of it's very cutesy, but then there's this really dark side to it, especially just whenever you go underground on these treasure hunts. It is like you're going into a different world. And I think that's a really cool fact, especially because you are supposed to be like digging into something ancient, and a lot of the game's story is we're trying to find the secret of this island that has this like big disaster that's been prophesized about. Anyway, so the game just has some nice blue text boxes, like kind of reminiscent of Final Fantasy, the PS1 Final Fantasies, Final Fantasy 7, Final Fantasy 8. Even though those did not come out yet, I'm pretty sure 7 might have been out at that time. And it has a nice little text box scroll sound. Like every letter that shows up has a little sound that plays with it, and when you press the button to advance the text box, it has a nice little ding. It's really great stuff. I think I'll try putting some sounds in under this, but if it doesn't work, I implore people who sound interested to look at gameplay videos of this game. It's just kind of check it out. Maybe I'll link to some. But anyways, this is what I get for not having a capture card. So the game was just telling me how to move around. Because this is such a early 3D PS1 game, it shows in the kind of artistic choices that were made. Like the character models are very chunky, very polygonal. I mean, not as bad as something like Final Fantasy 7, but like it does have a certain look to it. But I can't say it's really a dated look. I mean, it definitely applies to the limitations they were working under, but I don't know, it's like they own it in a way that just looks so much more natural than even like the more standard definition or higher definition stuff that started developing in like kind of the RPG look as we moved from 2D to 3D. Especially when we got into like the PS2, PS3 era of like having these anime-ish character designs, but rendered in 3D, but like as the 3D got more realistic. You got this uncanny valley of like the weird anime heart-shaped heads just not looking right with you know, super rendered, skin and body structures, all that stuff. But here we've got this, just everything is blocky and chunky, and like when Mega Man's face is just a texture laid on top of the model, and when it's too far away, it's kind of blurry. But it works, which is weird. I also just noticed as I'm looking through that the wall tiles in this dungeon actually glow. They just have this ambient animation of this just getting slightly brighter and smaller. It's a really nice effect to add a bit of life to what's otherwise just a Doom level, right? With and it's just as geometric as one of those is, because they were working with these limitations. All right, moving on. So the game's teaching me how to control. So this game is so early, so not only graphically, but even the controls, it's very different from any kind of third-person action game we have now. The game does present itself as a third-person shooter. I'd say it's probably one of the earliest we see on a console. So the way it has it work, because this is before the introduction of a second analog stick, or analog sticks. We move our character with the D-pad. The D-pad corresponds with the direction left, right, up, down. But we can rotate our character by holding L or R. So you have to use a combination of the D-pad and the rotation of L and R to traverse the 3D space. It is very weird, but I would almost say I think it's still effective in that I can play through the whole game rather comfortably. It takes some time getting used to it, but before long you can figure out how to do things like circle strafe and all that good stuff. Right in the first hallway, you get attacked by 3 tiny Reaver bots. Reaver bots being the name of the kind of ancient robots that defend these dungeons from treasure hunters like ourselves. The enemy they present you with is rather simple. It shoots out a projectile bomb that doesn't even explode, or that doesn't actually try to hit you. It explodes if you touch it, and if you stand too close to it, you get damaged. But it's slow moving, and it's actually rather forgiving, which is pretty brilliant as its introduction of being the first enemy you come across. I'm not sure if it's just this one, but I know later versions of the enemy also have like a spin dash attack, and they can move rather fast across the floor if you let them. But that hasn't happened yet. So the game is kind of easing me into this. A cool little visual and sound detail that I want to point out that I think is really effective in setting the atmosphere of this game is whenever there's a Reaver bot nearby, it plays this creepy sounding. The guy just did a dash attack, so it's like a slow rotation. They kind of come at you in one direction, but if you just move out of the way, it's pretty. Oh, and they blow up if they miss. Okay, that's kind of funny. The easy way to defeat these guys. Super easy tutorial enemy. Whenever an enemy shows up, kind of like the tactic used in the Silent Hill games, where there's like radio static when an enemy is near you. It plays this weird like robotic Jeep beep kind of thing, like boop boop. Whenever an enemy first appears, then there's an indicator radar thing under your health bar that spawns this creepy looking orange eye that normally is just black, but then when an enemy is near, the orange eye appears almost like it's opening, saying this is the Reaverbot eye is here, they see you, which is probably exactly what it is. So roll tells you to go in one direction, but if you don't go in that direction in this little tutorial dungeon, she then says, what are you doing? You gotta go back. If you keep going, you hit a switch that spawns a trap door that puts you into a room with some enemies that don't even seem to do anything, just tiny little worm guys. And if you defeat them, you get some extra money. It's kind of a cute way to reward players for exploring, because a lot of this game is exploration, which is cool because it's often a self-imposed exploration. You can finish this game without doing most of the side stuff, I'm pretty sure. There's some items that you need to find that are not explicitly given to you to finish the game, but I mean, they're usually pretty in the way. A lot of the joy of this, though, is that there's a lot of stuff that you can find that you use to make new weapons and stuff. It's kind of like a loot game like Diablo or whatever, or Borderlands, but I think where this game succeeds is that the loot actually means something. Money is a very precious resource in this game, and you use it to like upgrade your weapons and stuff, which the game's pretty easy. You can beat it just using the basic weapon and the upgrades you get for that along the way. But the additional stuff is just so cool. I can talk more about it when we actually get to a moment like that, because right now I'm just using the basic Buster. The Buster being the term for Mega Man's arm cannon that we kind of know, the iconic thing that's they kept that for the game or this part as your starting weapon. Kind of like Link's sword or whatever. As a cute little nod to the games, initially in this game, you can only shoot 3 bullets at a time. You have some stats on this gun that you could upgrade, like the rate of fire and the power, and how long it takes to recharge after you fire. But initially, as a little nod to the original Mega Man games, where you can only have 3 bullets on the stage at a time, this game allows you to only shoot 3 at a time, which is cute. A bit annoying, but I guess this leads to it makes the actual character progression feel a lot cooler as you do start to feel stronger as you find more of these hidden items and upgrades for Mega Man. I'm going through this dungeon a bit, and there's this like weird throbbing sound that's playing. I think the sound design in this game is pretty excellent. I mean, it's a bit corny, like to go into the stuff that I was talking about with the like 90s anime. Like a lot of the hit effect sounds, like when you shoot a guy, when they blow up, they sound like they came right out of the anime that I would watch on Toonami when I was 6 years old or something. But I think there's a charm to that, There's a little side room in the tutorial dungeon that you go into, and you can blow up a giant cube in it just by shooting it, and it blows up into a bunch of money and stuff. But then behind it is a wall that looks like you should be able to hit it, and you jump, but you can't get up there. Later on in the game, or rather early in the game, but still later than this, you unlock an upgrade that basically doubles your jump height and makes it actually usable. And it allows you to kind of hit on ledges like this one. It's curious that playing this now, I never noticed this ledge before, but it looks like if I had the double jump, I would be able to get up there. There's nothing up there because, I mean, spoilers, you can't get back to this tutorial dungeon, at least as far as I know. It's just for the beginning of the game. But it'd be kind of funny to see if the developers actually put something up there or planned on doing it. So this like electric throbbing sound that's playing in the dungeon as we have this rather upbeat but still anxious sounding music, has these minor key strings and stuff. We're definitely in an area of danger and a lot of unknown factors. Even when Roll is talking at us, the next enemy we see, she warns us, watch out, you can't see this because it's on the ceiling, and it teaches you to do the lock on, which pauses you in place but lets you like shoot in multiple directions, which is not normally allowed. Normally combat in this, so you just shoot in whatever direction the camera is facing, so normally straight forward. There's a slight lock on normally just to help with the 3D-ness of the game, but it does feel a bit clunky, but I think it almost works as kind of an intentional thing. So now I feel, with games being so polished, sometimes you lose a bit of personal charm or something when a game goes out of its way to challenge the player with how the player interacts with it, whether it's a control or rule design thing. I think it it forces you to really invest in what you're doing at the time, and kind of more fully integrate yourself with the experience of that game. So I just found the obnoxiously orange treasure chests, which I think are kind of cute, and they're huge, just like a Zelda chest. Although, again, this game came out before Ocarina of Time. They have this giant like keyhole on the top for a key that I don't think would possibly ever exist. But when you just walk up to it, they open up, and Mega Man does a little fist pump while the game says, "You got this." It's pretty funny because the chests stand out so much, it's almost comical, but at the same time it makes it so easy to spot them that when you get into these more complex and darker dungeons later on, like the sight of a chest is both like an exciting and immediate thing, and it's almost like a sigh of relief, especially because you do get into some really oppressive underground areas as the game goes on. One of these treasure chests gives you your first Mega Buster upgrade, or the armor cannon that increases your attack. So the game starts to show a bit of its RPG tendencies here, where we actually do have stats and stuff. So I increase the attack of my Buster. A cool little detail is that as you increase the stats of your Buster, the actual projectile that shoots changes. So because I increased my attack, the color of the shot is a bit different, I believe, and it's also slightly bigger. The color might actually be the same, but it definitely gets a bit bigger. So I think every stat correlates with how the shot actually looks. So by the end of the game, you have these big yellow, super glowy shots because all your stats are super high, and it's cool. Like, it's a subtle little change, but an effective one for the player who is even if you're not like knowingly seeing it, you understand it subconsciously. So a cool little thing pacing-wise the game does is ending the tutorial with a really ominous ending of Roll is talking, saying, "Look out, there's a giant Reaver bot ahead," but the voice starts to fade out and crackle. Like, it does seem like we are working on like kind of scrounged together junky technology. Our walkie-talkies aren't even working. And Mega Man's like, "Oh, are you okay?" Not that the dialogue in this game is usually very great, but it is setting up for something big, and the game does choose to end the tutorial with a bang, which for a first-time player will make you go like, "Heck yeah!" And you're facing off against this giant Reaver bot who just has a big drill arm, and he walks around. He looks like a tank, and he smashes it into the ground trying to hit you. And when it hits the ground, there's a big explosion. I love that there's so many explosions in this game. Whenever you defeat an enemy, they explode. I mean, it's a really like cheesy looking like spherical explosion. I already defeated the enemy. Not super hard, but it looks really intimidating, and a lot of the enemy designs in this game kind of are, because like I said, it's almost Ava-esque in how the robots, they look like robots, but they also look ancient, they look decrepit, they look rusted, and they also look a bit skeletal. Like this first boss just has a single eye and these what looks like almost like a jaw, like skull teeth, just red piercing eye. It's just very not cuddly. So defeated the enemy. It's the boss guy. It's going to bring us to the scene where we're going to see that we were underground in this like ancient looking tower thing that's slightly grown over with some grass on the top, and we're just surrounded by ocean, just surrounded with some seagulls flying by. It's almost kind of nice, but at the same time it's supposed to start to establish that we're in a very different, very strange world, kind of flooded over. Kind of like Wind Waker, making all these parallels to the Legend of Zelda games that came out afterwards. I don't think any of these similarities are intentional, but it's hard not to see it sometimes. So we're presented with this really cheesy orchestral music as Mega Man is walking back, being confronted by the boss again, who's chased him out. I don't know why he's so scared. I mean, we defeated him super easily, but again, like, this is my fourth or fifth time playing through this game. I'm pretty decent at it, and I would say sometimes it's rather hard. There's some weird difficulty spikes in the game, but overall it's super hard. Anyways, so we jump off, and we finally see our ship, which was in the beginning lore scroll that I was talking about with the sea, and we hear Roll's voice implying that she's piloting the ship, playing some really upbeat, synth music. It's great. It makes you feel like, heck yeah, I just finished the tutorial and I'm ready to see the rest of this world. Alright, so I'm almost hitting at the half-hour mark now, so I'm probably going to stop at this point, as far as this critical Let's Play goes, if I can even say if it's critical. But yeah, I think I'll put this out as kind of a test, listen back, see how it goes, and probably do another one of these soon. So if you are listening to this and you are not me, thanks so much. Again, I'm Colin Horgan. I was playing through Mega Man Legends, and yeah, have a good one.